Long before this unsettling time, I'd often visited my son's house. One day, I found my 10-year-old grandson who should have run away, chained up. As I rushed to help him, he said my daughter-in-law, who was supposed to be deceased, was there. "Your mom passed away," I replied, confused. Following my grandson's instructions, I opened the floor to find my deceased daughter-in-law lying there. Panic seized me as the unimaginable unfolded. Soon, a series of horrifying truths emerged. A year ago, after my husband passed away, I lived alone. My son's family was just a 30-minute walk away, so I didn't feel lonely, especially since my grandson Ron often rode his bike to visit me. "Grandma, look, I got a perfect score on my math test," he would proudly announce. His kindness and intelligence always charmed me. My son, Simon, at 34, was a company employee with a degree in economics. He seemed busy, which I took as a sign of his hard work. His wife, Lily, often visited me, and I was grateful for her concern. "Mom, you should go on an overseas cruise," she suggested half a year ago. My son then surprised me with a 2-week trip, wanting to cheer me up after my husband's passing. "Oh my, what a thoughtful gesture. Thank you," I exclaimed, joyfully planning the trip with my friends. However, Lily passed away a week ago, and the funeral had already taken place when I returned with souvenirs. Shocked, I learned from my son at the doorstep that it was so sudden they had a private funeral. "No way," I gasped, trying to peek inside the house, but my son blocked my view. "I didn't tell you because I wanted you to enjoy your trip," he said. "Did you inform her parents?" "What about Ron?" I asked, bombarding him with questions. My son frowned and replied, "I've contacted her parents. Ron is in shock, so please leave him alone." I couldn't believe Lily was gone. "Can I come in?" I asked, but my son glared at me. "Stop thinking only about yourself. You're really persistent," he yelled, shoving me into the street. Feeling deeply ashamed, I apologized and decided to leave, regretting not forcing my way in then. Something terrible was already happening. The next day, I decided to call my son to offer help instead of showing up unannounced. But he didn't answer, possibly busy with work. I wanted to visit Lily's grave and check on Ron, but didn't want to burden my son. After several unanswered calls, I left a message asking if I could visit the next day. Still no call back, so I decided to call once more. After a few rings, my son answered with an irritated tone. "Why are you calling so much? I've got a lot going on here." "Why?" "Because I'm worried about you and my grandson." By the way, Ron ran away. He left a note saying, "I'm following Mom," I said, horrified. "Oh no. Did you call the police?" I asked. Of course, I called them immediately. I'm terribly worried about Ron. He must be lonely after losing his mother. "Oh, please come back," my son replied. My hand grew cold and numb as I held the phone. "I'll look for him too," I said. "He'll come back eventually, so you don't need to do anything," my son shouted, then hung up. I began to doubt whether he was really looking for Ron. That night, I couldn't sleep, constantly worrying. As the sky began to lighten, I made a decision. Better to walk around searching for Ron than doing nothing. More searches would be better. I headed to the police station as soon as the inquiry desk opened at 8:30. "My grandson ran away, and you're searching for him, right? Any leads?" I asked the officer. To my shock, they said no search request had been filed. "What? That can't be," I stammered, stunned, remembering my son's evasive answers. "He's hiding something." Thanking the officer, I immediately went to my son's house. I rang the doorbell, but there was no response as he was likely already at work. Using my spare key, I let myself in. From the back, I heard noises. Did he leave the TV on? Curiously, I headed towards the sound, finding my grandson chained in the kitchen storage space. "Ron, what happened to you?" I rushed to him and hugged him. "Grandma, please help Mom first." He pointed to the floor storage nearby with his chin. "But your mom is gone, right? The funeral was held." "No, Mom is here. Please hurry," he pleaded, panic-stricken, crying, and kicking to get closer. His frantic expression made me realize something was seriously wrong. Fearfully, I opened the floor storage. No, Lily. There lay my daughter-in-law, mouth gagged, hands and feet bound with tape, dried up and lifeless. "It's all Dad's fault, Mom." Seeing his changed mother, my grandson screamed and cried. I hugged him and immediately called an ambulance. The operator arranged for the police and rescue team to cut the chains, and both Ron and Lily were rushed to the hospital. In the ambulance, my sobbing grandson explained what had happened. What a horrible thing. I'll make sure he pays for this, Ron. Grandma will see to it. Listening to him, I vowed to bring justice for my grandson and daughter-in-law. Later, with the police, I heard more details in the hospital room. My son had been away for about a week. After Ron fell asleep, I asked the nurse to look after him and went straight to a lawyer's office, determined to expose my son's crimes. 8 days after finding Lily and Ron, I was sitting in my son's living room when I heard the front door open, signaling my son's return home. Mom, dressed in casual clothes, he looked surprised to see me. Then my son quickly glanced toward the kitchen. Of course, you'd be concerned about the kitchen where you chained a 10-year-old child. When I glared at him, Simon looked startled. Chained? What are you talking about? You mean the toy handcuffs he was playing with? His flustered and lame excuse made me feel nauseous. Enough with the lies. You left a 10-year-old alone for over a week. You said Ron ran away from home, didn't you? I accused sternly. Simon's eyes darted around, occasionally glancing toward the kitchen. He did run away, but the police found him. Liar, you didn't even file a missing person report. I confirmed it myself. I stood up from the chair with a bang and yelled, making my son wince and fall silent. But Lily's gone, and I have to work for the sake of the kid left behind, he mumbled, sneaking glances to check if the floor hatch was open. That's completely different from what Ron told me. Just as I started speaking, my son shouted, "Enough already, you old hag. Haven't you finished menopause?" He raised his voice, interrupting me, and tried to drag me out of the house. I found your dried-up wife under the floor you keep glancing at. I know everything. I pushed his hand away with all my strength, my hair disheveled as I screamed. Simon paled at my words. In fact, I had heard the full story from my grandson on the day I found Ron and Lily. Ron had been on a 5-day camp until the day before I returned. When he came back full of memories, Simon told him, "Mom has passed away." No matter what Ron asked, Simon didn't answer and blocked the kitchen with a partition, preventing access. My grandson cried, "I want to see Mom. I want to see Grandma." But Simon only yelled, "Shut up." When I visited Simon's house right after returning, Ron heard the doorbell and was thrilled. "Grandma's here." He tried to run to the door, but Simon gagged him and held him down. "You told her you weren't here when your mom died, so the police suspect you. If you don't want to get caught, stay hidden," Simon threatened. Ron must have been terrified, shocked by his father's words. My grandson hid in his room, holding his breath. Unaware of this, I believed Simon and went home after being shoved into the street. That night, Ron heard rustling sounds from the kitchen. Curious, he sneaked a look through a gap in the partition and found his bound and gagged mother in the floor storage. He shouted, "Mom," in shock, which got Simon's attention. Simon chained Ron and shoved him into the storage space. Ron heard Simon muttering, "I thought she'd be dead after 3 days." This revealed that Lily had been without food or water for 5 days, mummifying in the floor storage. "That's just a made-up story by him," Simon claimed. "Ron is lying because he's in his rebellious phase." Then why was she mummified? Actually, Lily had a high fever and died suddenly. I loved her and couldn't let go, so I kept her at home. Simon lowered his head, wiping fake tears. I approached him quietly. "Mom," my son reached out for comfort, but I grabbed a stack of papers from his nearby bag and hit him hard on the head. "Don't be ridiculous. You neglected your child for over a week and went on an affair trip. That's your idea of love?" The stack of papers was evidence of my son's infidelity. His computer was full of emails and photos with his mistress, and gifts and luxurious dinners were all documented in the photos. "Where did you get those?" Frantically trying to hide the papers, he looked pathetic. "I found this account book in your closet." I slammed a bank book on the table, making Simon's face twitch. The bank book showed transfers totaling $200,000 over 3 months, way too much for a salary. "You said you were in accounting, but this is embezzlement." "Ha! This is a bonus," he spat back. "It's too early for you to go see now." "That's not true." A strong voice came from the next room. Simon looked in shock as a tall, middle-aged man stepped out. Ollie. Yes, he was Ollie, the head of accounting at Simon's company. After finding Lily and consulting with the police, I also discussed the suspicious transfers with the manager. The company was aware of the unusual transactions and was already investigating. Ollie had called to check on us, and I informed him about Simon's return. Instead of calling the police, I called Ollie, who offered to accompany me for safety. "You've let me down," Ollie said, standing with folded arms and glaring at Simon. Everyone makes mistakes, but a crime is inexcusable, even once. What? Simon told me he was an exceptional employee, I asked, confused by the contradiction. No, he makes many mistakes and tries to blame female colleagues. I was stunned and looked at Simon, who avoided eye contact. Still, I believed he had potential. Embezzlement is unforgivable. Spending stolen money on your mistress. What a disgrace. Shrinking under our combined scolding, Simon suddenly raised his head and started speaking boldly. Embezzlement and infidelity were wrong, but I couldn't accept Lily's sudden death. I wanted her close, so I'd put her under the floor, he claimed, sobbing theatrically. Stop lying, I interrupted. Lily is alive. When I revealed this, my son's eyes widened in horror, his fake tears now obvious. Thanks to the doctors, Lily survived. She and Ron both gave statements to the police that matched. She discovered Simon's bank book and was attacked when she tried to contact the company. Remembering her trembling during her statement made my anger flare up again. Our company values customer trust above all. We cannot tolerate this. You're fired. The manager's low, powerful voice made Simon tear up. What you did is unforgivable. You're cut off. You won't see your wife or child again, I declared, visibly shaking Simon. What? Fired and cut off? How am I supposed to live? Help me, Mom, Simon cried, clinging to me. Go cry in the bathroom. I pushed away my son as the police sirens signaled the arrival of officers called before Ollie's appearance. Am I really getting arrested? I just wanted to impress a younger woman, Simon cried out. I handed him over to the police, shooing him away. After that, my son was arrested. The lawyer predicts that due to embezzling company funds, he might spend about 10 years in prison. Lily divorced him immediately and demanded $200,000 in alimony and child support. I hope he spends his life in poverty and loneliness, darker than the space under the floorboards. On the other hand, Lily has fully recovered, and Ron is doing well too. Feeling responsible for my son's actions, I offered to support their living expenses, but Lily firmly refused, saying she would work instead. She asked me to help take care of Ron, which feels like a reward to be able to spend time with my adorable grandson at such an easy-to-handle age. Lily started working as an insurance agent and amazingly became the top salesperson nationwide. I will continue to watch over both of them with all my heart. How did you find this story? Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.